boss installed hidden cameras in the toilets. I now know the horrifying reason why. I thought my new job in the city would get me away from my abusive husband, but after meeting my boss, I realized something was horrifyingly wrong. Mr. Raniker likes to monitor his employees to make sure his company is working at utmost efficiency, the perky blonde woman said, as we stood in front of my cubicle. So there are a few unconventional measures you should be aware of. Uh-oh, more drug tests? I really hated peeing in a cup. This is a camera, she said, pointing to the small circular webcam next to the computer, and a microphone. They continually stream to Mr. Raniker. Don't worry, he doesn't mind if you take coffee breaks and such. He just wants to make sure that you're not goofing off for hours. I stared at it, my heart sinking. No, I wasn't planning on goofing off, but a camera? Watching my every movement? That seemed insane, and possibly illegal. He watches his employees on video every day? I asked incredulously. Oh, don't worry about it, you'll get used to it in no time. That's not what I asked. I stared at the camera and it stared back. Someone could be watching every minute of my day, every nose scratch, every bra readjustment. But then again, this company paid almost $1,000 a week for someone who only had a high school diploma. I sat down at the cubicle. Is there anything else? Just that Mr. Raniker's office is off limits. He doesn't like to be disturbed, so please don't go to him at any hour. Oh, great. He likes to watch us, but we can't even look at him. Okay, thanks, I said as she hurried away. Then I was sitting in front of the computer. On my right was an older man, and on my left, a woman about my age. They sat in their cubicles, laser-focused, eyes glued to the screen, fingers racing across the keys. Hi, I said softly. They didn't reply. Okay, I get it. This place is kind of intense, but that's what you get when they pay you the big bucks. I glanced up at the camera one last time, then got to work. At around 12:15 p.m., I left to get lunch at Bojangles. As I stood up, I noticed only a few other people were missing from their cubicles, which was weird. At my old job, the place would be a ghost town by 11:55. I got back to the office at around 1:05. I returned to my seat, plopped my Coke on the counter, and turned to the computer. What? A small message had popped up in the right-hand corner. Please do not take a lunch longer than 30 minutes. My heart began to pound. I turned around, as if I expected someone to be standing there watching every move over my shoulder, but there was no one there, of course. Just the camera, always watching. I leaned towards the woman next to me. Hey, did you know about the lunch rule? Without looking at me, she replied. Most of us do protein shakes. There's a vending machine by the bathrooms. She lifted a white bottle that said soy something on the front, took a sip, and placed it back down, while still typing with her left hand. Really? That sucks. Man, things are strict around here. That's when she finally took her eyes off the screen. She stared at me, long and hard, and then whispered, "Don't say that. Why just don't." Then she turned back to her computer and continued typing. Weirdo. I spent the rest of the afternoon working hard on that spreadsheet. At exactly 5 p.m., I shut down the computer, gathered my things, and started for the door. Most of the other employees were still hard at work, but I didn't care. My brain was fried. As I walked towards the elevator, I passed Mr. Raniker's office. Through the frosted glass, I could see his blurry silhouette in the computer chair. From what I could see, he was an average white man with dark hair and a black suit. He didn't look up at me, or even move, as I passed by. But other than that, I didn't see anything wrong with him. That was until the next day, I realized the horrifying truth behind the surveillance. The next morning, around 10, I decided to take a coffee break, not knowing this would be my biggest mistake. The break room was small but clean. A pot of fresh coffee sat in the coffee maker, and I poured myself a cup. As I grabbed a few creamers, I heard a voice behind me. "You're the new hire, aren't you?" A tall woman with a husky voice stood there, wearing a skirt that looked about 2 sizes too small. She looked me over and then broke into a smile. "I'm Becky," she said, extending a hand. "I'm Stella," I said, swirling cream into the coffee. "How do you like it here so far?" "Well, it's actually kind of intense." She shook her head, then pointedly stared at a spot above my shoulder. I turned around. There was another camera. I was about to go for a smoke break. "Want a cigarette?" "Oh, I don't." She grabbed my hand and squeezed it so tight it hurt. "Yes, you do. Come on." We made our way out of the building, to the entryway in front. The cold wind swept through, numbing me to the core. She pulled out a cigarette and lit it. Then she pivoted away, into a recessed alcove, in the brick, and threw the cigarette on the ground. "What are you?" "This is the only blind spot," she said, stomping it out with her heel. "The only place in the whole damned compound that isn't visible from the cameras." "Can't they hear us?" I asked as I joined her. "Not really. The nearest camera is all the way back there. We should still keep it down, though." She lit another cigarette, let the smoke trail off in the wind, and then stomped it out. "Listen, kid. Get out while you still can. You're young, single, no kids, right? You don't need this money. I'm only still here because I got 3 kids to feed. I actually do have a kid, a 2-year-old son. I'm a single mom." "That's rough," she said, "but I'm telling you, this job isn't worth it. Leave and never look back." With that, she walked past me and headed back into the building. By the time I made my way in, she was already gone. I should have heeded her warning. I should have trusted her. But the dream of keeping Ryan in a good daycare and being able to afford toys and art supplies and all kinds of things for him was too tempting. That day, for lunch, I bought one of the awful soy drinks. The next 2 days slogged by, boring but manageable. No more creepy pop-ups. I guess I was working at a pleasing efficiency to Mr. Raniker. I was just starting to feel good about everything. Then Friday happened. Around 10 a.m. I made my way to the bathroom. While washing my hands, I checked my reflection in the mirror. Dark circles fell under my eyes and my lips were pale. I hadn't gotten much sleep the night before, so I pulled out my red lipstick and leaned in close to the mirror to put it on. That's when I realized it was a one-way mirror. I could see the faint outlines of something on the other side, long and straight like a couch or a wall, but I couldn't quite make out what lay beyond. Feeling uneasy, I made my way out of the bathroom. The clacking of keys once again filled the air, and I took a seat in front of the computer. I'd only been working on the spreadsheet for a few minutes when I got the notification. Red lipstick is prohibited in the workplace. I froze. Someone was watching me. Had someone been standing on the other side of that one-way mirror, or did they just notice now, on the webcam? Was he watching me right now from his computer? Hands shaking, I grabbed a tissue and wiped the lipstick off. I waited, wondering if I'd get another message. Instead, the message just disappeared after a few seconds. For that whole day, I found myself constantly glancing at the webcam, wondering if I were being watched. There were at least 50 other employees. How could he be watching all of us? Something was horribly wrong about this whole place, and I was starting to wish I listened to the girl from earlier. I glanced around my desk. Then I picked up the tissue box and, making it look perfectly natural, placed it so that it obscured the camera. Try to watch me now, Mr. Raniker. Not 5 minutes later, my phone began to ring. As I pulled it out of my pocket, I saw the name, Sunnyside Daycare. My heart plummeted as I picked up the phone. Hello? Hi, Miss Johnson, the voice cheerily said on the other line. I'm just calling to confirm that your husband will be picking up Ryan today. My husband? Yes, ma'am. Your husband is here to pick up your son, but he never signed the form, so we need your permission to release him. I don't have a husband. I'm not married. Who's there right now? Is he? Oh, that's funny. He just left. Well, next time you come in, can you have him sign the form? That way I don't need to call you. I said, I don't have a husband, I shouted into the phone. Several of the workers turned to stare at me. As soon as I met their eyes, they quickly snapped back to the screen, typing away furiously. Oh, that's strange, the woman said on the other end. We'll look into this matter. Thank you. The line clicked and I stared at my phone, emotions surging through me. Who the hell was there, trying to pick up my son? I didn't put the pieces together until I turned back to the screen. A new message had popped up. Never block the camera at your workstation, please. There will be consequences. My fear suddenly burned into anger. I pushed myself away from the desk and charged towards Mr. Raniker's office. He thinks he can mess with my kid? As soon as I gave him a piece of my mind, I was calling the police on this entire operation. I stopped in front of the door, staring at his blurred silhouette through the glass. My heart pounded as my hand fell on the doorknob. I can do this. I turned the doorknob and charged in. The blood rushed out of my face. It wasn't a man sitting in the office chair. It was a cardboard cutout. I stood there in the doorway, frozen. The clicking of keys still filled the air behind me. Either no one looked up, or they knew that their boss's office was occupied by cardboard. I quickly searched the room. In the corner of the office was a desk with a laptop. With a sick sense of dread, I slowly approached it. The screen was lit up, displaying a video. My hands shook as I saw what was on the screen. It was a live handheld video of my son Ryan, playing in our living room at home. Toys strewn about, his laughter echoing through the quiet room. My heart was pounding so loudly, I could barely hear anything else. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Suddenly, a notification popped up on the screen, blocking the view. The message was from an unknown sender. You need a work-life balance, it read. We will assist with this. Please head back to your cubicle. Your shift is not over.